I'm here on Highway 99 in Phoenix, and you can see this road is closed down. We just got confirmation from police that one man was shot and killed just a few minutes ago.
There's also a protest happening outside, which has prompted a large police presence here inside the building and outside the building. Trump is expected to take the stage tonight at 7 o'clock. I'm here on what used to be Shopping Center Avenue here in Harbor, and I of course say used to be because you can see there's a large stretch of road here that is just gone.
We've seen it time and time again, especially this month. Scenes like this following another officer being shot and killed. While it might be tough for some to understand why people still want to be officers, I rode along with one Medford police officer who says despite everything, it's still worth it.
Here in East Medford, this is just one of the places that Medford School District looks at whenever they're trying to decide if they want to close schools due to weather. In emergency situations, Mercy Flight's helicopters can make a huge difference in care. Well, the plaza here in Ashland is all lit up, and hundreds of people were here in this plaza just a few hours ago.
We're here at Bingham Knoll, and you can see there are already dozens of people here excited, ready to hear about what they're going to be able to see on the Brit stage.
If you want to come and brave this heat, I promise it's not that bad. They're going to be doing all of this until 10 p.m. During this class, participants learn to recognize what they're seeing on top of the water and also what they're not.
The plume of smoke you see behind me is from the Crescent Fire. It's burning in the Crater Lake National Park, and it's about doubled in size in the last day. Now, you may remember this one from March of 2015. Newswatch 12's cameras were rolling at that moment that police fired their guns, killing one man. But one neighbor was able to get it all on surveillance video, and now they're hoping that this video helps catch this thief.
It's this 15-page document that's prompting many schools to look into their own practices for working with transgender students. And they actually told us that they didn't feel comfortable, they didn't feel safe speaking with us because of the ongoing threat to law enforcement. Live in Central Point, Kasey Kershner, Newswatch 12. It all started here in front of Walmart when witnesses say they saw a man grab a bike that wasn't his. Several people said they tried to step in, but in the end, it was a man and his horse that caught that suspect.
Kind of like the Wild Wild West, you know, it was kind of crazy. I thought it was a joke at first.
It's not something you see every day. A man on his horse who had roped his target, but it wasn't an animal.
It took me by surprise when I first arrived and I see a gentleman on a horse with a rope leading to an ankle.
It was like a movie. It was awesome.
Witnesses couldn't believe what they saw, and it wasn't long before they came up with a nickname for the cowboy.
The Lone Ranger is what I thought, the first thing I thought.
His real name is Robert Borba, whose life mostly consists of raising cattle and raising his kids.
Family man,
There you go.
cowboy.
And today, people are also calling him a hero.
He needs some kind of award or something because, you know, that was brave.
But Borba says it was just his first instinct. He heard a woman yelling about a man grabbing her bike, so he grabbed his horse.
He just throws the bike on the ground and takes off running on foot, so I went ahead and roped him, and when the rope went around his feet, I just dallied and rode off like I would cattle, you know, and I didn't really think about nothing until after I caught him. Then I was like, gotcha.
When police got there, that man was arrested.
He did what was right, he did what was safe and prudent, and it ended up in an arrest and a return of a bicycle. So everybody came out ahead.
But even so, Borba is still humble about his new title.
I don't know about hero, but I don't know. I feel like I just did the right thing, you know. I think if there were more people out there that would do the right thing, we wouldn't have all the chaos that we do.
The Eagle Point Police Department does say this was an unusual situation, but it is a good reminder to be vigilant and be aware of what's happening around you. In Eagle Point, Kasey Kershner, Newswatch 12. I'm here at the Central Point Police Department, and actually this morning, Chief Chris Allison posted on their department's Facebook page with a statement reading in part, "This is an unimaginable tragedy for law enforcement." A little bit later, it said, whether you're in law enforcement on the East Coast, the Midwest, or here in Central Point, we are all grieving for our fellow officers. And speaking with some of those officers today, that was pretty evident.
Really just sick to my stomach was the first feeling that I had.
Detective Josh Abbott works at the Central Point Police Department. He found out about the shooting in Dallas late last night, and it's weighed heavy on him ever since.
It doesn't matter where somebody is when this happens, Dallas, Chicago, here locally, it's still that initial gut-wrenching moment.
He's not the only one. The news of the 5 officers killed rippled through the minds and hearts of the officers who put on their uniforms and badges today. Most of those displaying the black mourning band to recognize the fallen officers.
Bad things happen, and people in our profession can do bad things. And I like to feel like we hold those people accountable just like anybody else will. And it will break our heart when we hear about an officer who does something terrible. But to categorize all police officers as one way or the other, it's not the right thing to do.
For Phoenix Police Chief Derek Boker, the incident is a reminder of the dangers his officers face on the job.
We wake up and come to work, there's always a chance that something like this could happen. So it's very frightening.
But all of the local agencies we spoke with today say they don't have to worry as much as officers in other parts of the country.
We are very fortunate here in Southern Oregon.
It really makes us up here appreciate, the community support that we have.
At the end of the day, these officers say they'll continue to uphold the oath to protect and serve.
My number one priority and the thing I think about most is my guys. I want them to go home to their families at night.
We're all human beings. We're all out here trying to take care of our families, our friends, and that's really what it needs to come down to. After all this bad stuff happens, that's what people can take away from it. Black, white, blue, doesn't matter.
We also reached out to a local group for police spouses and families, and they actually told us that they didn't feel comfortable, they didn't feel safe speaking with us because of the ongoing threat to law enforcement. Live in Central Point, Kasey Kershner, Newswatch 12.
Newswatch 12's Kasey Kershner reports now from Weed, where the Bowles fire ripped through town just a year and a half ago. She tells us more about what the people in the town were going through tonight, seeing another fire burning right to their doorsteps.
Here near the mill in Weed, California, and you can actually see in the distance a little bit of smoke still. Fire crews have been working both on the ground and in the air all evening to try to get this fire contained.
All these people in this town have just gotten back into their houses, and this hits us again.
For many of these people who live in Weed, today's fire was a familiar scene.
Like it's right there, and it can change at any moment, and that's a scary part.
And then the helicopters all over again. Oh my God, it's crazy.
It's been 1 year and 8 months since the Bowles fire ripped through the town of Weed, destroying hundreds of buildings and homes. Seeing the fire on the hillside again,
It's just really scary to see come home to this again and knowing that it's another fire.
Candy Balter and her mother just moved back into their home 4 weeks ago. Theirs was just one of the homes that burned during the Bowles fire in September of 2014. And she could see this fire from the front porch.
It's a heart-wrenching, sinking feeling that knowing that you stand to lose everything you just got back again.
And while this fire is under control, it still leaves an uneasy feeling throughout the town.
The circumstances are different with this one, but a fire is a fire to me anymore. I freak out when I see smoke coming out of Burger King and I don't know where it's coming from.
But there's also an appreciation for the crews that responded so quickly.
Kudos to them. They knew what we went through last time. Their heart and soul is always in the fighting.
Greatly appreciated. Don't have to go through another one again.
I'm here at the Angel Valley neighborhood in Weed, and you can see this entire neighborhood has just been leveled. Now, obviously, strong winds is what the firefighters are dealing with today. And just to give you an idea of how hot this fire actually burned, if you look down here, you can actually see this was an aluminum rim here on this truck that was just reduced to a puddle. And again, if you look around, there are dozens of houses, vehicles, everything in this neighborhood is basically just gone, and fire officials are still out here working to put out these hot spots. Now, with so much destruction in these neighborhoods, the Red Cross had set up 2 shelters, one at Wairika High School and one at Mount Shasta High School. And as officials get a better hold of this situation, they decided to relocate the shelter, so now there's just one, and that's located at the Mount Shasta Armory, and that happened at about 8 o'clock this morning. Red Cross supervisors say between the 2 shelters they had over 100 people, but today at the Armory they're only expecting about 20, as many community members have found friends or family to stay with.
As soon as we can get in and do damage assessment and verify what houses have burnt, we will then start working with the client casework.
The Red Cross says the shelter will stay open as long as it needs to, whether that's days or even weeks. Now, at this point, fire officials are still dealing, again,
with these strong winds, and that will be the main concern today as they are dealing with this firefight. Live in Weed, Kasey Kershner, Newswatch 12.